Yes, that's essentially stretch. It was like, oh, she's standing.
Oh yeah.
I love taking questions. I got anything else? I love talking.
Okay, I think we're ready to call the meeting to order. I just want to start with the land acknowledgement. The Bailey Theatre sits on Treaty 6 land, the home and gathering place for many Indigenous people since time immemorial. The Bailey Theatre Society is grateful for the past, present, and future contributions of all Indigenous peoples and is committed to providing opportunities to present and celebrate their cultures as part of the rich mosaic of this place. Welcome to the Bailey Theatre Annual General Meeting, everyone. We're so happy to see you. My name is Jessica Dosty. I'm the Vice President acting as the President currently. I'd like to take a minute to introduce our current board that served over this past year. Colleen Nelson, Margaret Holliston, Barb Stroh, Kelly Olafson, Janet Roy, Tammy Herman, Kira Thompson, Mike Hicks, David Roth, Mike Ploner, David Downey. Okay, so I think we need to start with the approval of the agenda. We passed it out on the table there, and if there's any amendments that we need to make. I think I saw a couple that we needed to add, that there's approval of this agenda on the agenda, and then adding the fundraising team and the marketing team after heritage team. I think was the only things I noticed. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Janet first. Mike, all in favor? Okay. Can I get David to come up and read our last year's meeting minutes?
Hello, everyone. I'm going to paraphrase this a bit. I don't have to read every single word. You'll get the idea. The meeting was held on Tuesday, October 22nd, 7 p.m. Welcomed by Colleen Nelson, and the minutes were approved by those present. The annual meeting general report was presented. The executive by Colleen Nelson. She reported about the Hatley Group completing our strategic pathway report. The Camrose Art Society now being located in an office in our basement. Arlo Guthrie, Grunberg, sorry Arlo, you're on a run, resigned as manager this past year, and Elliot Harder joined us as the new manager. She thanked the staff and volunteers for the flexibility and help for keeping the Bailey alive while we searched for a new manager. People team was reported by Margaret Holliston. We had 85 current volunteers, 6 being new that year. Gwen Peterson was named Volunteer of the Year at the Volunteer Appreciation event. We did a lot of work around advocacy to keep jaywalkers downtown and we worked on getting more youth and newcomers engaged with the Bailey. A Heritage Legacy Report was given by David Roth, primarily project work helping with event changeovers and building maintenance, replaced floorboards in the theater in the summer, the men's shed helped finish the arms on the auditorium chairs, replaced the rigging control computer, soundboard, lighting control console, and the high-efficiency water heater. Future projects including replacing the balcony seating, 2 front windows, front building panels, and the air handling control modules. We are needing a long-term capital funding plan so that we can do all these projects. Programming was given by Barb Stroh. We're up to very similar numbers pre-COVID as of our last meeting. In the 11 months we were open this year, 96 events happened between Bailey events and rentals. We co-hosted co-pro events with Church Mice, Infinite Imagination, and Curtain Call Theatre. Manager's report was given by Elliot Harder, just short of 6 months in the role, but still thriving. He had secured a new ticketing system, looking at ways to test the appetite for classical performances, explored ticketing and rental pricing models to better suit us. 15,000 people attended the events at the Bailey this year. Attendance is primarily from Camrosian, 60% from the city, 9% from the county, and 31% from beyond the county. We presented to the city a few weeks ago a request for recurring funding and highlighting the presentation of how we're an economic driver for the city. Must have been effective. Finances, Elliot gave our report. The fiscal year was from August 1st to July 31st. We had revenue of $76,000 in grants, $116,000 in fundraising, and $219,000 from events. Expenses, $107,000 in events, $131,000 in building costs, and $180,000 in staffing costs. The income from event operations is not in the negative, which is good, and what we do for the community is positive for us. Our shortfall is in staffing costs and high utility costs. The audited financial statements for 23-24 were presented. A motion for approval was made by Tammy, seconded by Margaret, and carried. Motion for the board to appoint auditors for 23-24. First, moved by Jessica and seconded by Tammy and carried. Motion for the board to appoint an accountant for 24-25. Moved by Margaret, seconded by David Roth, carried. The election for board members for 2024-25. 2 people were continuing into their second year of a 2-year term, Kara Thompson and Lawrence Dufresne. Board members for re-election for a 2-year term who let their names stand, Jessica Dostie, Mike Hicks, Barb Stroh, David Roth, Tammy Herman, Margaret Holliston, and Janet Roy. 3 nominations were received from the floor, Kelly Olafson, Mike Ploner, and David Downey. Motion for nominations to cease by Barb Stroh, seconded by Mike Hicks, carried. So the new board members were declared elected by acclamation. New business, the Bailey Theatre fundraisers, Collie and Tammy Herman, were reporting that their goal was to raise $24,000 towards the mortgage this year, and there would be a speakeasy fundraiser with 120 tickets to be sold. The meeting was adjourned and dessert was provided. I move the adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting, annual general meeting.
Second, Barb?
I don't think so.
You are missing your election results in your minutes.
The election results for the executive?
No,
Or
the
for-
board. You
Oh,
had nomination ceased, which is spelled incorrectly.
okay.
And then there's nothing that says, like, the results of the election.
Mhm.
Like, there should be something that says,
I filled that
in your minutes.
verbally.
You read it, but it's not
Yeah.
written.
It's not written.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay, so we should change that, add that. David's our secretary tonight, so I can see him writing it in there. Thanks for pointing that out, Janet. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes, the last year's minutes as amended? Kelly? Barb?
Yep.
Second? Okay, carried. All right. Well, let's start our presentation of the 23-24 Annual General Meeting Report. Barb, programming team, and Elliot. Come on up.
Sure.
Good. There's a slight height difference. Thank you for coming tonight. And Elliot and I are going to be talking about mainly the events that have happened at the Bailey, both those that we have initiated and those that have come from rentals and things. And I'd start off by saying it was a good year. And I might be kind of weird, but I think having an annual general meeting is a really important thing, because we come together and we say, well, what happened last year? We have a look at that. We stop and we enjoy our successes and we make readjustments where we think we need to go. So I'd like to say it was a good year for a number of reasons. Elliot, there was 115 events last year at the Bailey Theatre, which included all the events. And that's the top number that I've ever been since I've been around, 115 events. That's a lot of events. 53 of those events were initiated by the Bailey Theatre. And so I think that was a really important thing. It was interesting in the minutes that we were worried about getting $25,000 together for the mortgage. And you know, we had a big surprise last year where the city came to us and said they'd like to pay off our mortgage. So that was a big surprise, and that means it's a great year. I could stop there and say that was a great year. So I think one of the things I like about having a general meeting, and this is as experience comes with me, is that when I meet people on the street and they always say to me, well, how is the Bailey doing? And you know, what do you say? How is the Bailey doing? So I've got to think that it's really good to have some facts about things. Well, we had 115 events. I mean, that comes off my head, and I just say that right away. But I think there's other things that we've learned about the Bailey of what happens. And so it's a good way to have a conversation. Way back when I worked with Alberta Agriculture, we had a home economist who said to us, you know, if you get a chance to ride in the elevator with the deputy, you better have something to say. And so I say that to all the new board members, is that when people say, well, how is the Bailey doing? And they always say it in kind of a, like, are they still keep going, you know? And I always say it's the 15th year and we're going strong. So there are some things that I think Elliot and I are going to present to you that can help you answer questions. One of the recent questions I had was, well, you guys must be rolling in dough now. And I said, oh, you mean the mortgage has been paid off? And yeah, they were thinking of that. And then they heard there was some major festival on here and we made tons of money. And so then I have other things to say when people ask that. So I say tonight, if you listen to what this big guy is going to tell you about some of the things that we've discovered about what happened, is that there's some facts that you can have. And I'd like to thank the team, and one of the things that Elliot's got up on here is a trending thing. Mm-hmm. Let's hear you.
So I've started to compile data over multiple years and portions of the years. So you'll see a few graphs like that as the presentation unfolds here. This first graph is a look at the different kinds of events that we have. So the red line there is the 53 events that we produced as the Bailey Theatre Society. Of those 115 total events this year. And the other lines there represent the other kinds of things that are happening here. So the blue line at the top there is our public rentals. So those are rental concerts, anything that is open to the public. The two lines at the bottom are a little bit, or three lines at the bottom, sorry, are a little bit more interesting in terms of growth potential. So we have the light blue line is private rentals. That's things like weddings, family reunions, and those kinds of things, which are definitely growth potential for additional revenue. We can charge a bit of a premium for doing those kinds of events. Not as much as other venues do for wedding rentals, because I don't think we're quite there yet, but there's definitely a lot of room for us to do more of that kind of event, because the actual production costs day of are quite low compared to a concert, for example. The gold line there is our free to attend sort of open community events. So these are non-ticketed things where we're opening our doors and just letting this be a community gathering space. An example of that in this season was the Mayor's Arts Awards that happened last fall in this room. We also had a maker's market here on the evening where they lit up all of the Main Street lights. So those kinds of events are a great way for us to get people in the door, to know what we do, to introduce ourselves to maybe new people in the community. And then the very dark line there is external events. So right now we're running with basically one external event a year where we're bringing in any revenue. And that is the Taste Night at the Museum, where we are doing the ticketing for them and we get a kickback from doing that. There's another potential source of revenue if there's any other kinds of demand for that service in the community, we could bump that up.
And I think one of the things Elliot and I wanted to mention is that it's a fine line between having a balance between the blue line and the red line. More risk on the red line, which are things that we put on, and probably more gain with rentals.
Yeah, but we also have a bit of an artistic mandate to provide a variety of shows. If all we did was rentals, it would just be tribute shows every single weekend, which is what we're seeing right now with one of our programming partners.
And we want to say if we have things that you have questions about, because I challenge you to next time you run into the mayor, the same mayor that we had before, you tell them the kinds of things that we're seeing and that this is a good trend. I think one of the major another reason why this was a good year, is we in the program committee set up a subcommittee, which was the Camrose Blues Committee. The team put in about 2,000 volunteer hours in the planning in this year. The actual event happened in the next fiscal year, but we're so excited about it that we had to bring it here. We want to thank John Pearson and the group that he brought together for planning a 3-day festival. We had some new members from the community that sat on that committee, and that's one other way, other than being on the board, that you could contribute to the Bailey. We had members like on that particular board, we had Robert Redman, we had Jane Cherry, we had Chris Rebus, we had Curtis Bassett for a time being. So those were members outside of our board and our volunteers within the Bailey. So the 200 hours were put in, and there was a very successful event in that 2 nights were sold out to capacity, and the Friday night was pretty well capacity as well. That event is being planned again for this year, and I'd like to recognize John back there as he took on that project like a dog with a bone. I'll tell you, he did. What else do we want to say? We want to say that the program committee works with people like Elliot, works with the staff, that we depend on the staff to back us up when we decide we're going to do an event. We depend on Mike and his marketing group to market it so that we get people here. We depend on the program or the people team. Kelly's involved in the people team to bring in volunteers to man that. I think we had 57 volunteers for the Blues Festival over that weekend, so it's quite a job to have all those people as well as the staff. And the unsung heroes, I think, for putting on these events are the changeover team. I have to live with one, and they don't get a lot of recognition. They get a call to come out Sunday morning at 8:30 or Friday morning to make the changeovers. And you know, the good thing about the Bailey is we can change from a cabaret to a theater style to banquet style, and sometimes that has to happen in 3 days. So to the unsung heroes, Curtis and you and David and the rest of the team, and definitely to Elliot and his staff for backing us up to put on pretty quality events. I'd say this year we've had quality events, and we're going to tell you more about some of those events.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say something.
Are you going to say something, Barbara?
I'm Barb.
Yes.
I'm not a board member. I just wanted to say that you going in the parade and showing the public that you were there was very, very important. And if you are doing the blues again, please think about going into the parade.
Yeah, I think that's the first time that I have recalled that the Bailey was in the parade. I don't know in the history if we have ever been in the parade. But Kelly and John and myself and some of the others.
Mike was in there.
What's that?
Mike was in there.
Mike was in there, that's right. Yeah, for sure.
So I wanted to take some time to look at some of the variety of events that we've had in this last year. Like always, there's been a lot of concerts, lots of music coming through. In addition to that, we did bring back a very robust free family film night with some great sponsors. So that's brought a lot more film into our programming than we've had in the past.
And thanks to Janet
Thanks to Janet for helping program that and helping to find our sponsor for that. That series is continuing this year, which is fabulous. We also had a series of filmed opera and ballet presented here, which was not necessarily a successful series, but it's always good to try new things. That's part of what we do as the programming team, is make sure that we are offering a broad variety of entertainment for people. So
let's say Carol's not quite ready for that yet.
yeah, I think so. I think maybe if it was live, they would take a chance on it, but the filmed thing didn't quite pique people's interest in the way that we maybe had hoped. We had a little bit of comedy happening, a few plays happening, so quite a broad range of things. But overall, I think one of the notable things from this last year, and I think Barb might have mentioned this already, was just the quality of the shows that we had. Every single show that was in here had people commenting that it was such a great show, and especially if the attendance was low, people were commenting that cameras really missed out by not coming to see some of these acts. So really trying to make sure that we are presenting a very high caliber of performance here at the Bailey.
It's pretty hard for us to track how many people have been through the theater. We can track those that have bought tickets. We think it's well over 15,000. I thought what was new about some of the things that acts that we're talking about, of the 53 that the Bailey initiated, 21 were brand new. They were brand new to the theater. And Elliot's found some things about patrons, and 1,112 new patrons are on our board as a result of this year. So there's that many more patrons. And you want to tell them about the loyalty stuff that you have?
I was checking to see how many people are attending multiple events through the year. So we had just over 400 people who attended at least 2 events in the past year, and 183 that attended at least 5 events. So we have a lot of people who are coming very, very regularly. It's a very dedicated group of audience members that we have here at the Bailey, which I think speaks to the kind of community support that we have for the operations that we're doing here.
Yeah, our ticket prices have ranged from being free, and that's like Janet's films are free. You can donate if you choose or can do it. To the top price that we had this year was $65. And so the average was, in the events that we had, was $24 in the Bailey initiated events. And we're finding that $24 just doesn't cut it anymore for us to pay costs of running the theater. And so one of the recommendations we have is increasing, and we'll tell you a little bit more about that. I think one of the things that we wanted to say about our ticket price is that we lost on the books $20,000 from the Bailey initiated events, And you want to say some more about that? You can say it. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think one of the things that we're looking at for the coming year is how we're budgeting for our events and making sure that we can, where our break-even point is. So when we're setting our ticket pricing going forward, we're looking at only budgeting for 20% of the house to reach our break-even point. That's in line with where we saw the most success in the last year. So really trying to make sure that we have plans going forward to fix that number.
Yeah. We're going to talk about our Gold Star events, but one of the things, and we certainly need to give Colleen recognition for following through on the strategic plan, that we had a federal grant that we used to update our strategic plan, and we've actually put in quite a few things this year in that strategic plan, and it's going to be up to the new board to take a look at that and say, what do we need to keep moving on in that area? I want to mention some of the, what do you want to tell, we've got ticket prices. These were some of our Gold Star events.
I'm just going to back up to make two comments on some previous slides. Backing up to attendance here, again, the blue line here is our rental events. So we can see that we're getting a lot of benefit in it, people through the door from our rental events. That's in large part thanks to a new programming partner, Sonic Flower Entertainment, who's the one bringing in all of these tribute acts for us, as well as some other artists. He's got something solved with marketing. He's able to get people through the door quite well. So we're seeing a lot of benefit from that. And we benefit from the per ticket fee on those kinds of sales as well. Our own attendance in the red line there, you can see had quite a dip. I did adjust it in that light blue dot there, which is if we remove the kind of a flop of the filmed opera and ballet series. If we remove those events from the calculations, it brings our average per event attendance right in line with sort of the average event attendance over the last year. And then moving on to some ticket pricing things. This is a graph from our patron feedback survey that we've been running since May, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. But overall, our ticket prices are in a pretty good place. And this includes not just our Bailey produced events, but also the rental events, which tend to be priced quite a bit higher than our own events. So if we're seeing that people are fairly satisfied with the pricing overall, it actually gives us a little bit of room to bump our pricing going forward so that we can be more in line with where those rental events are coming in. And we wanted to talk a little bit about a framework that we were introduced to from our strategic plan. If anyone wants to look at these documents, I can grab some extra copies and you can take a look at it. But we were introduced to a 4-quadrant graph where you're looking at the relevance of an event versus its financial viability. And so in the low quadrant where you have low relevance and low financial viability, those are events that you should never do again. Don't do it.
Maybe opera right now.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
Now, right now.
As you move up in relevance, but still low in the financial viability, you have events that are described as the heart events. So those are things that we feel strongly like we need to present to the community, even if we're not always making money on those things. Then you have the money makers. So these are events that have low relevance, but make a lot of money. And this is where we have things like these tribute acts that we're making guaranteed funds on from the rental fee, but maybe don't solve any kind of artistic need that we as the programming team see. And then in the very top quadrant where you have high viability financially and high relevance are what are the gold star events. Mm-hmm. So for us, those are events where the patrons are leaving the event, they're telling us how fabulous it was. There were a lot of people in attendance so that we made our money back or maybe some profit preferably. And so looking at this past season, we just wanted to highlight some of those gold star events that we've had in the last season.
And the more gold star events we have, the more we can try some other things. We have David Francie up there, George Canyon, Battle of Britain, which we do with the booster, and Warp Kings. The Warp Kings brought everybody from Hannah up here, and this place was rocking. And smoking, whatever. It was hot. Anyhow, And the last three ones that we say were our gold stars this year. Of course, Godfrey Black is usually a very good one for us, coming up again. Jansen Brothers was a big surprise to us. There was lots of people out for the Jansen Brothers. There's just Manitoba or Saskatchewan?
They're from Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, okay. Everybody's from Winnipeg. And then, of course, Riff Raff. I don't know. I didn't get to that one, but that.
Another great crowd.
Another great crowd.
Some of these are looking at, they're financially viable because of different payment models for them. So the Jansen Boys and Riff Raff were both just revenue splits. We didn't have any guaranteed artist fees with those, so that helps to make things more viable. And it's a model that we're looking at as we look into future events that we're planning.
Good.
So from the strategic plan, one of the big things that we were able to implement was our patron feedback survey. And we are also just starting a performer feedback survey as well, because we want to figure out how people are feeling about their time spent at the Bailey. So we've been running this patron feedback survey since May 1st. The Jansen Boys was the first event that it was on. It now goes out after every single ticketed event to every ticket holder, 2 days after the event at 10 a.m. So watch your inboxes as you come to shows, and please fill it out. Because the data is very, very helpful in figuring out how the events are running, as well as any comments that people have for future events.
Pretty significant, over 75%, very satisfied with their experience at the events. Did you bring some examples?
I'll pull up some examples.
Okay,
of that.
I'll
Yes.
keep
Give me 1
talking
second.
while you keep. One of the things that we find there is we take a good look at what people are saying about price, about saying good things about the volunteers here, the kind of environment it is, how comfortable it is to come here, what's the quality of act, we ask them what they would like to see again. So it's a way of gathering and mining new ideas. But Elliot has put together quite a few actually comments from people about what they think is good. You close?
If I can find them.
You think you
One
can?
second.
1 second. These kids, they can find everything on that. Any questions to date? Like, is this help you give you a picture of what happened in 224, 225, 2024, 2025? I guess we got to pay attention, very not satisfied, why they were not satisfied. And Elliot right now is reviewing all of those and taking to heart what we learned from that.
I've lost my document. We might
Okay.
have to just skip it.
Okay,
for now.
we'll
You can
skip
come
that.
talk to me at some point, and I
Okay.
have the whole spreadsheet. You can read through it.
Okay. The last thing that we mentioned and goes back to the first thing that we talked about is that if you take a look at what the year looked like, you have to look at what you have to readjust. And we've brought some examples of things that we thought we would need to readjust. And Elliot's going to talk about the first one.
So we made, in our internal program report in our committee, we made a list of 13 recommendations for moving forward. Some highlights here for you. You don't need to hear all of them. But trying to lower the risk on some of the shows that we're producing based on time frame. We've seen that September is a really slow month for attendance. Last couple of years, May and June have also been very, very slow because of the playoffs. We cannot compete with the Oilers in the playoffs at all.
Or the farming industry.
Or the farming industry in September, or school starting up in September. So we're looking at ways that we can have lower risk events, either lower guarantees or focusing on rentals in those times of the year where we may not get the audience that we are hoping to get. And also having a plan for how we cancel shows if we're just not seeing the ticket sales that we need to make it viable.
That's right. That one of the things that we've looked at as well is we've mentioned is increasing ticket prices. More in line with some of our rentals and more in line with what others are doing. And so at one time we used to say $25 was kind of the norm. We're saying 40 is our new norm, looking at in order to pay our bills and keep the facility the way we want it.
We're also looking at selling more reserved seating shows. With a lot of our rentals that are opting for reserved seating plans on their shows, we're seeing people buy tickets much further in advance, which makes planning way easier in terms of staffing, but also just in knowing whether we're going to have an audience that makes the show work. So one of the great things about our new ticketing system, it's very easy to add seating plans and do reserved shows on a more regular basis. So even for shows that are in this cabaret seating, keep an eye out for this being a reserved setup, starting on November 1st with the Godfrey Black show. So if you haven't booked your tickets for Godfrey Black, do it now or you might not get to sit where you want.
That'll throw them off for sure. We better get our tickets, Curtis, and get up here to the front so we can get out on the dance floor. One of the other ones is pursuing more sponsors, and this is to take a bit of the pressure off for a break even and profit. It gives us a little more flexibility to go after higher performers, and we learned quite a bit about having a good sponsorship with the Blues Festival, is that we had more money to do broader marketing, and we certainly think that was an effect in attracting as many people here. One of the other things about getting sponsorship, you get that buy-in from the community. Somebody like Lamb Ford has been constantly a sponsor for Godfrey Black and their performances, and it's one way to get that community buy-in. It's also another way that we can do more experimentation. So it's not only sponsors, but it is grants as well. And one thing that I'd like to say that's happening, and John and Elliot have been working on, is a Travel Alberta grant for increasing the size and growing a festival. And we will now be eligible as a result of doing the Blues Festival. So that's an example of what we can do. I think the other thing, Elliot, is what you did right after Christmas last year with a sponsor.
Yes, that was Lamb Ford sponsoring Morning Wood to come here, which let us do a free to attend or by donation concert in January at a time of year where people maybe are feeling the hurt in their pocketbooks a little bit, but still being able to come and be a part of the arts in the community. Fabulously attended show. Everyone had a great time, and I think that's in large part to the fact that we were able to present it for free.
Good.
And then our last recommendation to share with you is just to continue those patron surveys and artist surveys. We want to collect as much data as we can to make sure that our actions are in line with what people are wanting from us. So that's going to be continuing into this year, and we'll keep reviewing it as necessary.
Yeah. And again, to wrap up, thank you very much to the volunteers who help us put on events, to the marketing committee, to the staff. David, I forgot to mention to the venue. If you don't keep the venue in shape, we can't have a good events. And also to the program committee and the subcommittee that we're working with right now. So thank you very much for all you've done to make it a great year. It has been a great year for programming at the Bailey Theatre.
Thank you. And I will invite David Roth up to present the Heritage Legacy Team, and I believe fundraising as well.
Hello again. So the facility projects that we took on this year were sort of basic, floor level. We did a lot of floor work. We refinished the floor, have given a couple of coats of oil. We lost the source of the oil for the floor, and Weidman's has spent a lot of time helping us formulate something new that we could use, and it seems to be working. It's going to take a lot more work. We also got a grant from the, Canadian Heritage for replacing flooring in the bistro, in the basement corridor, and in the elevator lobby. It's amazing how those big, heavy things coming in with the bands just rip the floor tiles up. You'll notice we have new blinds in the Bailey. Even one over the door, so that when we have our board meetings, the chairman doesn't get blinded. This beautiful image you see is a result of the new projector. Now, this is actually happening in this fiscal year, not last fiscal year, but we started working on this back when in Nordley's the projector died, right in the middle of the programming. So fortunately, Simon was able to rig up a backup projector that was back projecting on this screen. But finally, we've been able to, with funding from several different sources, including Camrose Energy, we were able to replace the projector with a nice new bright instrument. We added the logo to the front of the podium. I notice when we see pictures of events at other facilities, you always see somewhere on the podium or on the wall somewhere where the facility is that the band is playing at or the speaker is at. When people take pictures, they get published. Well, now we get a little bit of added advertising. We purchased black napkins and tablecloths for the rectangular tables. Couldn't believe this summer when we had a fundraiser and used our rectangular tables, we never had tablecloths for those. So those have all been purchased. You'll hear a little bit more about, well, we got a grand piano donated. That'll be the subject of another discussion, but we built a specialized dolly for it so that we can move it around, bring it up on the lift, and now it resides in a semi-permanent home on the stage. So hopefully 90% of the time it will live there, and when we have live performances that require the whole stage, we may have to go through the process of moving it back downstairs on the dolly. We also, this summer, with Rose's help and Simon, redid the stage, and this nice front edge on the stage got all nicely sanded and varnished. So we're just trying to keep the facility looking not quite like it did on the day we opened. It never will, but at least it's going to age gracefully instead of ugly. In terms of the heritage projects we took over, or legacy ones, we've updated the website. Over time, we've had several different webmasters and web contributors. The latest one deleted all of our history. So whenever I sent people to look about the story of the Bailey, they couldn't find it. That's been now updated by Simon. And we've also included Marquee Rising as a video that you can look at on our website. So instead of having to buy the CD, we now have a lot of coasters that have a really nice label on them. But you can use the link on the website to watch the half-hour Marquee Rising. Also for the Blues Festival, we made a very determined effort to be more of a tourist destination and our marketing. So we've actually included the walking tour of downtown and the residential area around Augustana. So when people are coming to town, they can go to the history portion of our website, click on it, and it can also be used on your phone. So it's phone friendly. You can walk around the neighborhood and see the buildings down there. This image is from a watercolor painting, a series of 6 that Audrey Fanmuller has done of downtown Camrose. She did one specifically of the Bailey, and she has given us the right to use the image on our products, not to sell them as artwork necessarily, but to use them for thank you cards, greeting cards, place cards, and so forth. And we also sell the full line of, or are able to sell the full line of her postcards through the Bailey box office. We'll be looking next year at how we can begin to market some of the things that have Bailey logos and maybe increase that as a source of revenue. Speaking of revenue, we actually had for this year, for the first time, a fundraising team. It was minimal, and we struggled, but Colleen carried the brunt of the load and started off the year by making sure that we had the $24,000 that we needed to put on the mortgage. And it was necessary that we pay that before the city would pay their share. He said they wanted to see that check in the bank before they paid their money. I thought that was a bit cheap, considering they gave the Lougheed Centre $1 million this year. It would be nice to have got a little bit more, but we're very happy for the $15,000 they give us for operating and for paying off the mortgage. The other event was the Speakeasy fundraiser, which took a lot of work, a lot of volunteer time. Mike Hicks and Tammy and Elliot were very involved with planning and organizing that. We had hoped to raise $8,000, but we managed to get $4,400. The bottle drive was held in May. We targeted $2,000, and through the year, we raised a total of $1,960. So that's not too bad. Jaywalkers Jamboree, the 50-50 draws, we only ran it for 2 out of the 3 days. We targeted 4,000 and made 2,200. And then we had a Enchanted Evening fundraiser, which some of you may not have heard about, and that was deliberate. It is actually an invitation-only event. It was not advertised on our website. You couldn't buy tickets at the box office. It was an event that people could come to if they donated $1,000. For $1,000, you got 2 tickets. You were entitled to purchase 2 tickets to attend the event, and you got a tax receipt for $850. We targeted to raise $50,000, and we raised $50,750. That worked out great. Now, this year we're going to do it again because a lot of people said this was one of the best events they'd ever been to for a fundraiser. They didn't have to bring their checkbook because it was all paid for in advance. We had some lovely entertainment. A little jazz trio played through the evening. Elliot sang an Enchanted Evening. And we had great food from the bistro and some fantastic wines from Argentina. The best part of it, I think, was that we made the theater into an art gallery. We actually had some amazing artwork on the walls. We've learned how to hang artwork on these walls without doing any damage. And Keith Harder, Professor Emeritus of the art program at the University, Augustana campus, graciously agreed to donate his artwork and help install it. It was only up for a couple of days. It wasn't a public event, so most people didn't see it, but we do have some pictures of it. I hope we have some pictures somewhere. I'm sorry, this was of the Burn the Mortgage. We actually had a fire in the lobby to burn it. This was the Speakeasy. Some images from that. The bottle drive. Jaywalkers, of course. We were out there also promoting the Blues Festival at the time. And then the Enchanted Evening. You can see some of the artwork back in the distance. Our long table, we set it up as a long table dinner. We only had about 50 people in attendance because it was a summer event. And a lot of people were out of town, on vacation, whatever. So this year we're rescheduling it to happen in June, which is a little bit quieter. And hopefully we'll catch a lot of folks before they leave town and get more people. We'd like to have 100 people in the room. That's sort of our magic number. And we're still targeting to raise $50,000. This time we'll go back to all the people that came the first time and see if they want to bring a friend and see if that works. Part of the reason we were able to make the money we did with the low attendance was that we had a couple of donations for $2,000, one for $5 and another for $10. So that helps bring the numbers up. We had a list of 80 people that we to talk to. We actually got in touch with about 60 of them. So there's about 20 that were on the list that are going to hear from me soon. So The other aspect of fundraising that is not on here but is very important to our financial bottom line is grants. We apply for grants through the Battle River Community Foundation, through the facility, what is it?
Canadian Cultural Spaces Fund.
That's the one, Canadian Cultural Spaces Fund, a federal program which is going to lose a bunch of its funding next year, so we're going to go after them. But the major reason this year we're going to do fundraising is for more of these. This is a sample of the seats to replace the 50-year-old seats up on the balcony. They were only 30 years old when we got them. We stored them for 4 or 5 years, and then we've been using them for 15 years. It's time that they see the next phase of their life. We're trying to donate them to the university, to the small theater they have. We can't find anybody who seems to want to take them, but we'll keep working on that. And hopefully we can raise $100,000 to purchase these. They come from Quebec, so we are buying them in Canada. That's all I have to report. Any questions? Great.
Yes, there it is. Yeah, I'll invite Mike Ploner up for the marketing team.
So maybe the most important thing that happened with the marketing team is that there became a marketing team, which was never here before. And I thought it would be a good idea if we started to market the events here and the Bailey Theatre in a more intentional way. That started with an advertising program that sees a weekly ad in the Camrose Booster and in the Camrose Morning News. So we have a print media plan now. We also, in our digital realm, we were able to get a contractor to take care of our content. So she provides the content for our staff to disseminate. Prior to that, it was kind of, did you do that this week? Oh, I forgot to do that. And I'll get right on that. And then sort of that happened a little bit, and it's through no blame of the staff. They got lots of things to do, and kind of the advertising for the social media kind of stuff wasn't really front and center. So this way, with getting somebody contracted to do it, we knew it was going to get done, and so we became more intentional about that as well. Directing shows and events to the right audience. I'm not sure what that means. We developed a branding, and that was Kira Thompson who developed a branding guide. So we now have a document that shows what fonts are to be used in our advertising, the way the Bailey Theatre logo can be used in our advertising, the colors that we want to employ. So going forward, if anybody wants to do any kind of marketing for the Bailey Theatre, they have this guide, which then they can use to keep a consistent message being sent out there. Oh, there's the consistent messaging. Yeah, and then late, so I got on board in October, and a couple months later, marketing committee was established, and that was Elliot and Kira and myself. We didn't meet a lot, but every 6 or 8 weeks we would get together and kind of look at what's coming up. And then we had a meeting at the board 3 months ago or so, and I thought we should have a marketing budget that is a little more robust than the $2,000 a year that was set aside. in previous budgets, which really you can't do very much with. And so that has been upped. I haven't seen the new number yet, but it's going to be more than that. And we also talked about taking a piece of every ticket that's sold and earmarking that for marketing purposes, and that is being developed still. And hopefully we can do more about that in the coming year. Yeah, and then talking about marketing at the board meeting, I think I was a little bit of a broken record at some points, because then my fellow board members started to mock me a little bit. That, oh, it's all about marketing. Kinda. So I wanted to raise the awareness of marketing and promotions, and I think that's been done not from just my efforts, of course. Elliot, I think, too, is kind of looking at that a little more earnestly than before. It kind of just happened before, and I think there's more intentionality now behind our marketing and promotions. I think that kind of covers what the marketing committee did this year. Thanks.
I'd like to invite up Kelly for the people team.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kelly Olafson. I'm relatively new to the people team. I just joined it after Christmas. Our other members include Natalie Olson, Colleen Nelson, and our chair, Margaret Holliston. Well, we had quite a season this year. We had 81 current volunteers, and that includes 7 new volunteers. So we're always looking for more volunteers. That's kind of our focus. Our focus is on the people, as it is. Some special events this past season included our annual Volunteer and Staff Appreciation Dinner that took place in November. And that's where we celebrated our Volunteer of the Year, who was Pat Fielding. And we thanked her for her countless hours popping popcorn for us. And then in April, we had the National Volunteer Week throughout Canada, and we decided to go with that, and we gifted carnations to our working volunteers that week. And we also did some highlights on social media, and we did some slides in the lobby. Just got to get that. One of the other things that we distributed on the National Volunteer Week was a volunteer survey that the people team compiled, and we shared the results with the volunteers and the Bailey board. And in response to that survey, we decided to update the 2023 handbook to be more organized and comprehensive, and that will be ready for distribution later this fall. Another large focus for us this year was to create a comprehensive communication plan that will lead in how we create meaningful and lasting connections with our patrons, our volunteers, our donors, and our Bailey staff. I think connection, relationship, that's sort of how we need to go forward with our people team. That keeps people coming back, keeps people wanting to volunteer, donate, and so we need to really work on that, and we've done some really good work with that. Some of the volunteer-focused highlights from this season include the Speakeasy that was talked about earlier. That was in February, and then our Blues Festival this past August, which was an awesome event. And these two events combined required 1,500 plus volunteer hours to pull off. So as you can see, volunteers are definitely vital to our success here at the Bailey. Although much of our focus is volunteer-based, we need to highlight the amazing staff at the Bailey, including our full-time manager, Elliot, wherever he went. And then we have 10 part-time staff. And the people team would really like to thank you, the staff, for all your hard work and dedication and help. And through our new communication plan, the goal of the people team is to forge a community where everyone feels a part of the Bailey. We look forward to collaborating with our program team that brings us our wonderful entertainment, our newly formed fundraising team, which David talked about, to help acknowledge our donors and sponsors, and our marketing team that is also new and aims to promote our wonderful theater in the community. So as you can see, the people team has had a busy year, and we look forward to continuing our work to make the Bailey a space where volunteers, staff, donors, and patrons feel safe, respected, welcome, and excited to keep coming back. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. I'd like to welcome David Downey to the stage for the finance report.
All right, thanks so much. So I'm David, and I am the treasurer of the Bailey Theatre Society. A great privilege. Hopefully I got a set of financial statements. Hopefully it's on your table. If not, I will highlight them. So if we want to open up our statement there to page, we're going to flip one page past that index to this compilation engagement report. And this is just detailing what's been done on these financial statements. So this strictly indicates that there's no level of insurance here. They've strictly taken the information we as the Bailey have provided and put it together in a financial statement. So going forward, let's flip to page 3. So page 3 is our statement of revenue and expenditures. So this details the entire year of expenses. So it runs from August 1st, 2024 to July 31st, 2025. It covers a 12-month period. So 2 things maybe to keep in mind here. So this will not include events that have been referred to today, our Enchanted Evening and our Blues Festival. Those took place after our year end, so we will reflect those results in our next fiscal year. Starting there at the very top, donations. So we're noticing a significant change year over year. The bold column, 2025, column to the right, 2024, so last fiscal year. We're seeing an increase of roughly, call it 200,000, 220. So the bulk of that reflects the mortgage donation. This has been, we've mentioned this before, but we were gifted this year and we were blessed to receive $193,000 from the city of Camrose to help pay off our mortgage. So that comes in as our income this year. If we remove that, is kind of a one-time donation that we won't see next year because we don't need that. We're about $160,000, reflecting an increase of $40,000. So we've been successful in soliciting more donations this year. Jumping down, moving through these lines, I'm not going to highlight everything here. Subsidies and grants, that refers to grants that we've received. Net change, $15,000. We work at that. Grants can be hard to get, nature of the business, nature of who's giving out money. So we're down there, somewhere to look for next year. Going forward, rental revenue, that's strictly our bistro lease. Doesn't reflect the rentals we do of this space here, our theater, if you will. It reflects our next door neighbors there, the Spotlight Bistro. The rest of those are all pretty small. And then we look at Schedule 1, the events. So just quickly flipping there to page number 7. This refers to the events that we have run at the Bailey this year. So what Barb and Elliot were talking about is our programming team. It's a large chunk of this, as well as our actual physical rental. So when we rent this space out, net number there, 243, revenue in the door. What we've sold, what we've made. Expenditures out, 198, gives us an income from operations there, $44,000. So when we say that we make money from our events, this is the proof for that. This shows that we've made $44,000 from events, which is awesome news. If we want to flip back now to page 3, that gives us a total net revenue number for the year, $685,000. We can set aside that amortization of deferred capital contribution. It's very fancy, very confusing. We're not too worried about that. Move down to expenditures. This is what we've spent. What have we sent out? So again, that net number down there, 460 versus 480, we're up about $20,000, but that's largely accounted for in our events. We spent more on the events, but that's what we're paid to do here. That's what we like to do here. That's what we want to do. Everything else, there are individual variations between, but net there, you take that out, we're flat. 460 on 460, which again, pretty good when you consider everything's going up these days. So again, we've done well there. That gives us an excess of revenue expenditures from operations of $520,000. And then again, we have amortization of capital assets. So that refers to a non-cash adjustment for the wear and tear on the building. What we want to look at there just quickly is that capital contribution. That's a positive number, the 314, versus an amortization of 360 negative. Those are non-cash. They don't cost us money out the door. They aren't really something to worry about too much. It's more of an accounting adjustment. So we aren't that worried about that. That gives us a total number at the end of the year, excess of revenues over expenditures, or if you're more familiar in the for-profit world, a net income number of $154,000, which really does reflect a great year. That's a surplus that we have earned for the Bailey, which is great news, because not for profit, that first word there, not for profit, well, we've generated a profit. So that is great news. It is important to highlight, though, it's largely driven by a one-time donation of $193,000. We aren't expecting to see that in the future. If you pull that out, we are running a deficit. But again, we talk about those non-cash adjustments there. Deferred capital contributions, amortization, non-cash. You pull that out, it's pretty much break even, which is great news. That's all we're looking to do here. Quickly, if we want to flip back, because I like to go that way first, page 2, statement of financial position. Again, if you're from the for-profit world, we call that a balance sheet. This is as of July 31st. So again, only reflects one point in time, one day. It's different today, it was different at the end of last year. Total assets there, $2.2 million. That property and equipment is the bulk of that. That's this Bailey building, obviously. And all that number does, historical cost. It doesn't reflect what it's worth today. It doesn't reflect what we like if we put it on the market. It reflects strictly what we paid for it when the society was incorporated. Net of amortization, that every year adjustment we take to reflect the wear and tear. Other than that, liabilities, that's what you owe. Callable debt, 0. That's our mortgage. Great news, not there anymore. Finally, we get our net assets. That's our equity. What do we have? So net assets invested in capital assets, that's strictly our equity in this building. Again, reflects only cost, not a true market value. And the unrestricted fund, that's largely everything else. What have we earned from everything else? That gives us a liability in net assets, $2.276 million. Total assets, $2.276. That's why they call it a balance sheet, everybody. Other than that, I'm not going to go through anything else. I am more than happy to discuss later after. I love financial statements. If you can't sleep tonight, page 5 and 6, really good information. Thank you so much. Gotcha. I think we got Elliot next here for manager's report.
Yes, yes. I didn't have to do that.
Thanks, David. I'll read those pages when I got it, because I drank coffee today.
Oh, that's late night coffee.
Elliot, come on down.
Well, thanks everybody for sitting through so many reports. I have another one. More information for all of you. Starting off by just saying thank you so much for a fabulous first full season as the manager here. This has been a great point in my life and a highlight for sure in terms of the many things that I have done. Being able to be here and steer this ship is a privilege, and so I thank all of you as the society members for supporting me being here and helping keep this place running. So thank you. What has happened this year? I know we've talked a lot about all of the events and it seemed like a very, very busy time, but there's even more stuff going on behind the scenes. I spend a lot of days up in my office working on different things, and I just want to highlight a few of the things that have happened in this past year. So Spectrix being the biggest one. If you haven't heard that word before, that is the name of our new ticketing system. So we used to be on a program called Theatre Manager. It was bought out by Spectrix, who's a company from the UK, and they there's ongoing work to completely shut down that Theatre Manager program and move as many of their clients over to Spectrix as possible. Lots of their clients have jumped ship and moved to other programs, but in the research that I did last year, I felt like this was a great program for us, at least in a short-term capacity, to see what we can actually do with a very well designed and laid out program that has a lot of very robust features. It is quite a bit more expensive, although they did offer some promotional pricing for the first few years, so we're good for now, and as long as we can make the features that are there work for us, it will be still a net positive, even at the increased cost. So what do I mean by, well, I think I have actually another slide for that. So the other stuff that I've been working on, staffing changes. We've had a few different things happen in the last year that I'll highlight in the next slide. And then I also want to just talk a little bit about the operational focus. So where have I been putting my time in this last year? So you know what you're getting for my salary. So what can Spectrix do for us? It is On top of being a ticketing system, it is primarily a CRM, which is basically a database for customer information. We are able to pull in a lot of information about our patrons, what their purchasing habits are, how they like to buy tickets, as well as where they're hearing about marketing, where they're wanting to spend their money, and how they may want to donate additional funds to the Bailey Theatre Society. So this kind of software works really, really well for direct marketing. It works really, really well for finding opportunities to solicit donations and sponsorships. And we can use all of that data to make those decisions very, very quickly. We're able to pull reports very efficiently, which is a big change over Theatre Manager, where the reporting process was a nightmare. And you had to pull like 6 or 7 reports before you found one that actually had the information that you wanted. And it took a long time. So the new system is much, much better for that. And on a personal note, the Theatre Manager software was only available to us on one computer in this building, whereas now it is a web-based platform, and so I can even pull these reports from my phone wherever I am in the world. If I'm curious how a show is doing and I'm not in the building, I can see how ticket sales actually went that day, and know, whether I need to work on some marketing in the future or congratulate everyone on doing such a great job at keeping the event running. It's also much better for patron experience. Our old system was a nightmare to do online ticket sales. The new system is much, much smoother, which is great news for our patrons who no longer have the frustration of struggling to buy tickets online and having to go through multiple sales channels just to come see an event. So that will help quite a bit in retaining patrons, because they aren't going to get frustrated and just give up. I did talk about the reporting as well, and then just on our operations side, it smooths out a lot of the things that we're doing from the old experience. We're saving a lot of staff time in managing information, pulling reports, and getting our marketing out there. So all in all, we've definitely improved how we're doing things with Spectrix. There's a long way to go and a lot of features that we're still learning how to use. So we'll be continuing that in the next year. Staffing changes. A couple of things to highlight here. We have a new technician who joined us this past year, Darcy Posen, pictured there at the very top. He is helping make sure that Al and Simon aren't getting burnt out on all of the events that we have planned. Especially as we're having more events happening, it can be a bit of a challenge to make sure that we have our technical needs covered. So Darcy has been a huge asset in that. And then our 3 box office staff pictured there. Rose is actually in the room tonight, curious about how the society's doing. She came. And then we have Heather and Anna. A change to their staffing. We've switched from the necessity during COVID of having 3 people who were generalists in the building, so that if someone fell ill, there was plenty of people to take over. We're moving into more specialized roles. So Rose is now leading as our primary event coordinator. Heather is our primary daytime box office attendant, as well as sort of de facto secretary and clerical keeper. So she's doing a lot of record management for us, which is great. And then Anna is moving even more into the bookkeeping side of things and spending more time making sure that we are up to date on our books and are able to look at our finances in a very clear and real-time kind of a way. A look at our overall staff. These are all of the people who are paid to help keep the Bailey Theatre running, including our bartenders, pictured over on the right-hand side of the screen. Josh Walls, our custodian, our technicians, and our box office staff. Huge thank you to all of these people for all of the work that they do in keeping this place running and looking great. It takes a lot of effort to keep things running smooth, and we've started doing staff meetings on a bi-weekly basis to make sure that we all know what is happening. So it's running well. Operational focus. Where am I putting my time and energy? looking at more events. So from the 23-24 season into the 24-25, we saw a change from 96 event days up to 115 event days. As Barb mentioned, I think the 115 might be the busiest season that this place has seen since reopening. I would say that it was maybe a little bit over capacity for our current staffing model. And so I'm hoping to pull it back a little bit to sort of around 105, but really keeping that 100 plus events happening and making sure that we're spreading them through the year appropriately to make sure that no one is getting burnt out. Which anyone who's working on events will laugh at, given that we're in October right now. I think the busiest month we've ever had since reopening, with 19 event days this month alone. But this counts as one of them, and it's a little more laid back in its needs. So, working on more marketing. So as Mike said, we are really trying to be much more intentional with how our marketing plan is going. Having Kaylee Gibson, our social media subcontractor, on board is really improving our operational process in terms of getting stuff onto social media, and having an actual plan for how we're going to use our print marketing to make sure that we are showing our events to the community in a timely fashion so that they can actually make the decision to come and see the shows is crucial to making sure that we're selling tickets. And then just improving processes generally. Speaking with the staff internally, there's a lot of room for improvement in terms of how we're distributing information amongst the team, and what kinds of things we need, what kinds of policies and procedures we need in place to make sure that our time is all used effectively. And so that is one thing that I've been working on a lot in this last year, and Spectrix has definitely made that easier in a lot of cases, but there are some things that can't be handled by that, and there's a lot of other opportunities to improve how we are running things here to make sure that we're being efficient with our time. And I do want to take this moment to also thank Jen and Jared of the Spotlight Bistro, who for this evening prepared some delicious goodies at the back there, so do partake after we finish this meeting, but who are also just fabulous tenants and are crucial to a lot of the operations that we do. It's great to have caterers in-house where we can pull a little bit of a goodie for a meeting or an event, all the way up to fully catered events such as the Enchanted Evening fundraiser and Church Mice dinner theaters. So wonderful to have them as sort of adjacent team members to the operations here at the Bailey. Thank you.
Thanks, Elliot. Now the fun part. So yeah, there's quite a few of us returning, including myself, Mike Hicks, Barb Stroh, David Ross, Margaret Holliston, Janet Roy, Kelly Olafson, Mike Floner, and David Downey. I know Colleen's watching. She's on, we're live streaming this, so Colleen was able to watch us. I just want to acknowledge that Colleen Nelson has had to step down as president to focus on her family, and she wishes to extend the utmost gratitude for the board, the volunteers, the staff, and the patrons of the Bailey Theatre. And we wish her all the best, and I'm sure we'll see her at future events here at the Bailey. Also, I'd like to acknowledge Kira and Lawrence are not renewing for another term, and we'd also like to extend our gratitude for their service and dedication. Kira was so amazing in making the branding kit, and she kept us all in order. She wasn't able to be here tonight, but she got all this stuff done, and we're very thankful to have had them on our board. So. Okay. Also, you'll notice that for new board members, John Freem joined us in June and was appointed as a director for the rest of our season, and is letting his name stand. And then we can take some nominations from the floor as well for new board members to come on. So I'd like to open the floor for nominations for new board members.
I would like to nominate Janet Kerr for a 2-year term as a board member. Janet brings a lot of experience in working with groups and working with rural patrons and volunteers.
Amazing. Would you let your name stand?
I will.
Awesome. Any other nominations from the floor? It looks like David's thinking about something. But no? Can I get what is it called? A motion to close nominations?
So should we tell them that there's 15 spots on the board?
Mm-hmm.
It's a 2-year term.
Yeah, it's a 2-year term. There's 15 spots on the board. And there's a variety of committees that you can join to help. The other option too is if you're not sure about becoming a board member right now, you can also join a committee as well. We have a couple people that have joined committees, like the programming team, right?
There's only 11 names on there. Do you need 15?
No, it's a maximum of 15, yeah. Going once. Good. Can I get a motion to close nominations for new board members? I don't know if I saw anybody put up their hand. Oh, there we go. David first, Janet seconds. Okay. Now, this is the first time I've run this AGM. Colleen usually knows all the things to do. So, I know. So now that it's closed, now are we voting to, or we're...
Because you have fewer than the total, the new members, or all the members can be elected by acclamation, and you declare that.
Okay, I declare that all members can be voted in by acclamation. Is that what I say? Yeah, good. Awesome. Welcome to our new board member and our returning board members. We'll invite our current board members, our new board members to meet after this AGM so that we can discuss when our first meeting as the new board will happen. Do we need to cover anything else? I don't think so. I think that's the end. Oh, no, nominations, we got it. Okay. I did all those things. See? I'm good. Okay. Yay. I just wanted to give a heartfelt thanks to everybody who attended, who's been volunteering on our board, our volunteers, our staff, everybody who makes this place keep running. And we're looking forward to another successful year. And we look forward to seeing you at some of our events. So we need a motion to end the meeting, correct? Mike first. Motion to adjourn. Kelly said, good. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. And we want a new picture of the board as well. So don't go anywhere. Thank you so much.